This is PSPaulStewart-Interviews and Inspirations. It was during COVID where I felt people needed encouragement, tools, chance to gather together in an inspiring way, and to keep it together through that challenging time. And now moving on from there, still so many people are realizing they want to bring more soul into their life and live from soul more. And they're gathering tools, or they've got tools and they're wanting to express those tools and skills and gifts and expressions of themselves into the world, and kind of make it a better place, or experience the possibilities that are already there. And so in my work as a mind, body, spirit consultant, I've helped people for about 27 years professionally, personal training, mentoring, energy work. And it's helped me a lot. It's taken me all around the world. And I'm delighted to share with others those skills and tools. And I'm also very happy in this situation to give voice to other people that have dedicated their lives and gone through their own personal adventures and sometimes challenges, and they've just kept going, and they've brought their skills to help people that maybe didn't have the time or didn't have the inclination to specialize in these ways, but they can get significant results in a very short time with the expertise of these different practitioners and dedicated people of humanity and souls that we are. So today we're delighted to welcome Chris Wilson. Hi, Chris, how are you?
Oh, I'm great. Thank you for having me, Paul.
Thank you for being here. And just to introduce you, Chris works with the Akashic Records, and she's been doing so for quite some time in person in New Zealand and online. And she also provides some excellent course training to help people take that awareness and bring it into their own life, and then perhaps even become a practitioner themselves. But Chris, recently you've been to a conference of light workers. Where was that? Tell us a bit about that.
Oh, so the conference was in Tucson, Arizona, in the USA, and it was run by Era of Peace, and there's a most amazing woman called Patricia Cota Roble, who has been one of my teachers for years. Like, she doesn't necessarily know me, but I certainly know her. And I've been very affected. And talking of people who selflessly, work for the light, and she's one of them. And basically, for 38 years, she's done a lot of work with Era of Peace, but it's about bringing the light into the world and sort of anchoring it in for the changes and for the ascension process that we're right in the middle of.
Yes.
And she used to be a counsellor, and then she just started out in the late 60s. So she has honestly been doing this work since the late 1960s, and I think she's now in her early 80s. Anyway, what she every year they have, like, an Era of Peace, have a congress, and for 38 years they've had the congress on illumination. And when I was sitting up in bed in March and I got an email and it said, "This is the very last one that we're having," I thought, "Oh God, I've got to go." Because, I'd always thought I'm going to go to one of those one day. And then suddenly it was the very last one. So within about 3 hours, I was sort of booked and I was going. I told my husband I was going, and then I got in the car and drove somewhere, had the radio on, and it sang that Arizona song, Arizona. And I thought, oh,
Thank you.
yeah. So I actually loved it. Like, it was at a beautiful resort, and it's just got a very special energy in Arizona and Tucson, and I didn't get to Sedona, but Arizona. So what we were doing, there were basically 500 of us that were there, and we were doing this sort of final work, basically to rectify all the damage that humanity has done on itself, really, since what they call the fall. Now, there's a lot of information about this, and I could talk more about it, but basically, you know, human beings on Earth we've lived in a fifth dimensional vibration before, and suddenly everything sort of unraveled, and instead of evolving, we started devolving, and basically, as a result of that, the vibration on Earth went it dropped to sort of the third dimension. And, you know, a lot of us, particularly us old souls, and I feel like I'm one of those, and I think you probably are, we've been here around and round and round the block, coming back and coming back and coming back and coming back, and sort of trapped in this wheel of karma, you know, where it's been impossible to sort of extricate ourselves, and we've had to come anyway. But anyway, in 1987, just at the same time that Patricia was holding this first Congress, they actually there was something called the harmonic convergence, and as a result of that, and all the work that different light workers did all over the world at that time, we sort of got lifted off that wheel of karma, and you know, and it seemed obvious that, you know, we would actually move through and we would be able to ascend as a planet, which is actually quite miraculous because we have destroyed ourselves about 4 times before. So at this Congress, we were, as Patricia said, it was like we were sort of acting as surrogates to just bring this energy in, just to end the process. But what we did specifically is we sort of anchored this beautiful energy that activated the senses and the multi-dimensional aspects of human nature, you know, in a way that they haven't been, you know, since before the fall. So that's what we were doing. Like, it sounds quite, but it was a fantastic, it felt good, like the energy was good. The sort of light that we brought in seemed massive, and I'm still sort of dealing with it really. Like it was good. Like it's but you know, when light comes in, like everything sort of rises to the surface. And at the same time, of course, you know, August was a very intense month. 2024 has been an intense year. It's intense at the moment because we've got, you know, there's the equinox we've just had, the 2 eclipses, and so we're sort of in the thick of it. And so the, you know, and we look out at the world, and you know, what we see often is not very pretty, but it's all part of this process. Anyway, Patricia did this amazing work. Like, I wanted to rush up to her and go, Patricia, I'm Chris from New Zealand, and you know, that I respected her, but I was secretly like really sort of wanting to talk to her. And on the very last day, I got my chance because I was just standing by the elevator, and out of the elevator, this big stack of luggage came out, and I said, "That's a lot of luggage." Anyway, this little head popped out, and it was Patricia, who's the loveliest lady. And I said, "Oh, you're allowed a lot of luggage," because you know, she obviously, I mean, she was the key. Anyway, that work is done, but Era of Peace is still carrying on with their work, and basically they work with the beings of light. And one thing Patricia sort of brought to my awareness, but I've felt very much in the last year anyway, is that, you know, about a year ago we became more connected to source, and the energies of the grand central sun, which is part of our wider solar system, which we had completely lost connection with as a result of the fall of humanity. And we've connected up with those now. So, you know, it's actually affecting all light workers. It's making connection to source possible. It's opening, you know, us up to a lot of soul gifts, abilities, to miracles, to things that we would never have dreamt possible.
Yeah.
But I'll just say one more last thing. Because as Patricia says, like, everything has to be anchored energetically in the realm, what she calls the realms of cause, before it sort of manifests on a physical level on the planet. So, you know, the energy is all sitting there. And
so you're saying that that you see that the next step, or individually people need to ground that into their daily life. Is that what you're saying?
not really, because the energy's here. Like, it's in the crystalline grid, it's grounded, but it's just the energy will have an impact. You know, there was just so much light, and it was in such a concentrated way. And what was great about it is that, you know, it wasn't the people that were physically present. It was, you know, you could actually connect on through Zoom for the morning sessions. And yeah, so, and that's sort of happened since COVID. That's been, anyway, it's been a wonderful service that honestly, that she's done. And Patricia said, the reason why their beings of light said they chose me is because I was so ordinary. And I love that, because I think humility, you know, is everything, isn't it?
Well, I just didn't feel comfortable introducing you that way, Chris, to be honest, at the start. as ordinary, because I think it's it's unusual for, I know for many people listening it's not unusual. I know many people understand the subtleties of energy and their souls and so on, and conscious of different things in different ways, but a lot of people might not be so, and it sounds sort of out there, but they have no direct experience. But with that in mind, with your expertise with the Akashic Records, would you mind sharing an understanding about what are the Akashic Records from where you're standing?
So they are an energetic record of every experience we've ever had as souls on earth. They are changing, as with everything else as we ascend. The Akashic Records are changing. So they're becoming now more a reflection of, the new fifth dimensional energy that we're into. They're not just about past lives. You can go in there and sort of connect up with future potential as well. They're a place where you can commune with your soul, connect with your soul wisdom. I think the best thing that I found for me with them was the minute you open them, like even if you're just opening your own Akashic record or somebody else's, like it lifts your vibration, and they're like a portal to the fifth dimension. So basically I've been opening the Akashic record, my Akashic record, or working with others and opening theirs for 13, 14 years nearly now. I've been doing this work, and I've still got a long way to go, as I realize now, because I'm processing all these downloads of light from Arizona.
Yeah.
But I do feel like it has completely transformed my life, because they lifted my vibration at the time that I learned how to access them. My motivation was a family crisis with one of my children, and it was very, very serious. And I've written a couple of books, and the first one sort of does go into more detail about that. But what I found is the Akashic Records just gave me a lifeline. Not only did they give me information about, the higher purpose of what was happening, so I could sort of see that bigger picture and understand like the learning in it for everybody. And so it sort of took me out of that human pain and suffering. But it also just raised my vibration so I could lift out of it, and not sort of get dragged down, in the trauma so it was really, really good. So it was a huge help for me. And, so I started giving readings, and then, people kept coming and people kept coming. And then I decided to teach. I teach classes. So I teach people online. I like to do it in person, and I keep the classes fairly small so you can have one-on-one interaction. I teach people how to open the Akashic Records, which are this energetic record. And it sounds sort of weird, but what I teach is like an access intention statement. And the thing about fifth dimensional energy, which is also called quantum, is it responds directly to intention. So this statement, the minute you open it, you're in there, you're in this higher vibrational energy. And the majority of people I teach don't have any trouble accessing the information. A lot of people are just doing it naturally now anyway, because, particularly since 2012, like I don't know, we've all just grown so much. And when I look back at my first classes in 2013 and what people can do now, but what's great about the Akashic Records for a lot of people is, a lot of people just don't trust in their intuitive and sort of spiritual gifts and abilities. And it's just a tool, and it's one of many that helps people connect with information that then they can retrieve and they can pass on to other people, and then they get feedback from other people. And it's for a lot of people that have done the course, they've gone on to do incredible channeling. Sometimes it's like a cork in the bottle that just pops out. And because we've all got these gifts, so it's like a method. It's like a method. And you connect more with your with your soul. And we've all got spiritual gifts, but it's totally normal just to doubt them. And so it gives people an easy way that they can use them to help themselves, and other people. That
Yes.
was quite a difficult time on the planet.
Yeah. It is a challenging time, and I think what I love about the fact that we're having this conversation and there's more conversations to be had is that it's to offer different perspectives. We talked a little bit about it just before we started recording, actually, about the benefit of just hearing these perspectives, not just opinions about different things, but actually, wisdom perspectives, and look at it from here, look at it from here, or look at it from here. And it's very encouraging, isn't it, for people? Because we're so bombarded with, just more of the same. But if we keep focusing that way, won't we just continue that same thing? Isn't it important to have these perspectives?
No, it actually is, because one thing, that's happening at the moment on Earth is we're all realizing that we're unique, we're all different, and that's okay. And how I try to teach is I try to, give people tools, but I encourage them to use the tools in the unique way for them. So there's sort of no one size sort of fits all,
Yeah.
and help them use the tools as a way to sort of explore who they are, why they're here, and learn to, in a way, to sort of love themselves for using the tools. They're a great self-awareness tool. The Akashic Records, they're a fantastic ascension tool. So the way they are helping in this sort of current situation on Earth, which is truly momentous, is they can lift your vibration. So they lift you out of fear. They
Yes.
connect you with the soul. The soul doesn't suffer. When you look back at the years of human lifetimes, the cycles of history on Earth, suffering has been like the hallmark. We have suffered, and we've just kept recreating suffering. What's happening as a result of the ascension process is we are going to be moving out of suffering. We are actually going to, and are actively, despite outward appearances, co-creating a world where we're not going to kill each other anymore. Like, it seems crazy saying that because of mainly what's, it's happening, particularly in the Middle East at the moment. But we are going to get there. We will, and we're in that process. And the Akashic Records, you can find out a lot about yourself, but you can also do healing within the Akashic Records, and with the help of Saint Germain, the Violet Flame, and I teach different techniques. Just get rid of some of these scars, some of the trauma from past lives that you may be still carrying, some of the old programming, the limiting beliefs. And I do a lot of work facilitating this with clients, but I've also got a group of practitioners now who, work in their own areas, but also bring in their own skill set. So it's not just doing everything the way Chris says, and the way I do it. It's about thinking, well, I've actually trained in Reiki. So how can I bring that into the Akashic Records and help? Or how can I bring the Akashic Records into my EFT work or something like that? So it's all about, and the Akashic Records, because it's connected to the soul and the soul history, it does sit really comfortably alongside a lot of other modalities. And no one that I've taught sort of uses them the same. Like, everyone's totally unique, and that's that's sort of the theme of the moment. So it's really, really special. Yes,
That's interesting because I find I'm a natural healer too, and I find that sometimes it's about looking at things and tweaking them, and sometimes it's about, as you step up the energy, things just fall away naturally. And from what you're saying, it seems you're noticing with the Akashic Records that sometimes it's just bringing through more of the soul, bringing through more of the aspects and the qualities that you've decided to bring through at some level. Have you noticed that happening more? Have you noticed, just because it's a different, I think probably you could say a more receptive energy? Have you noticed differences?
I've noticed a big difference. I think the healing is more powerful. It seems to happen. It doesn't always happen, particularly with physical healing, but it seems to happen more faster. What we can bring through now as a much sort of higher level. It's about just holding that intention, being in that quantum space, which is also, the new earth space. So it's being in the fifth dimension. It's miraculous, that energy. And, the Akashic Record space, once you open them, is a beautiful healing container, because it activates and brings online, all those quantum aspects of our bodies, in particular, activating, the non-coding DNA, that people have called junk, that is now coming online, and all of the potentials in there. That is the DNA that connects us to our soul. One of the layers connects us to our Akashic record. One of the layers is a healing layer. One of the layers is the layer connected, to the body's own ability to heal itself, the cellular intelligence, the smart body. So most of the healing, that I teach and I demonstrate is through words. But and I think words are really, really powerful, and there's people that have proven, the effect of words on water, like Missouri Emoto and Veda Austin and people like that. But our body also responds, particularly now that we're in a higher vibration, and quite a higher percent of our DNA has been unlocked, responds, to our thoughts, our feeling, everything, to our consciousness. What I always say is, if you want to, live a long life or be healthy, it's all about your consciousness. It's all about your thoughts. It actually is. Because your body's like reading your mind the whole time. And if you're, anyway, so getting back onto healing, there's huge potentials, within the Akashic Records, not just for emotional healing, so getting rid of the limiting beliefs and things like that, and old fears and
Well, Chris, what you were saying there was interesting, because I was just thinking about as people release an old thought or upgrade a way of thinking or acting or being in the world and so on, the different healings that occur. And I think sometimes diagnosis can be such a heavy burden for people, and often not necessarily a very deep understanding. But through these evolutions that you're talking about, you can see a physical healing or a mental healing occur just so organically, and depending on the person. But what have you noticed with that sort of thing, where shift in energy, looking at different things with people through the Akashic records or through these conversations, and then in a way, kind of spontaneous or gradual changes in other areas, their body, or healing, or feeling better in their mind, or feeling clearer? Have you noticed a lot of that?
Yeah, no, the healing seems to be really powerful. And as I sort of said before, it's got more powerful. And it's not just me facilitating, it's anyone that's facilitating it. Obviously, the person on the receiving end of healing has to sort of play their part, and they have to be receptive and open. But, it's a really powerful place. And I think things are, just it's only going to get better. And, there's spontaneous remission occurring, there's miracles occurring, and we just have to, we have to realize and accept that that is possible. And that's not just within the healing I do. I think it's in all healing, really. Physical healing still sometimes is a wee bit harder, because what I have noticed is you have to be more repetitive. It's just because what you're dealing with the physical body, I believe, is the subconscious mind and programming and stuff like, oh, you've got 6 months to live, or so you do have to repeat the message. But the body, really wants to work to help you get into balance and to heal and words are they are powerful. You know, our body's mainly water, so we know how the effect of water and harmony and high vibration words on our body, but also there is the cellular intelligence, which in the third dimension really was pretty stuck and wasn't activated. It's now come online and it really, it listens to everything we say. And so so that it's very, very exciting. And the thing about the Akashic Records as a healing modality, I think, is that it helps, it helps the healing take place on a really deep soul level. And I think, it gets to the root of the tree instead of, oh, we'll look at this, but we'll cut off these branches. But you really do have to go to that root of the tree. And when you're, working with someone in the Akashic Records or working with yourself, you can say, what was the seed cause of that? And usually, you can get the seed cause, you get something, and then you may see like a past life or a whole lot of past lives with a similar theme. And then because the Akashic Records are not in linear time, it's really easy, to get that person to close their eyes and take them back to another lifetime where, I've seen in my mind that there's a past life self that is not at peace. It's still, usually it's when you had a traumatic end or something like that. So
Yes.
it's sitting there and it's sort of affecting the person in the present day. And then you can just take that person through like a process to sort of calm that little aspect down so they're not draining your energy. And then, they're there and you can get them in to help you.
Yep.
So this is sort of happening a lot because as the vibration on Earth is lifting, like it's so multi-dimensional now. And so all these, anything that doesn't sit comfortably in the fifth dimensional energy that's flowing in, like all the pain and suffering and trauma and fear from 3D, has to be, and all the family stuff as well. Ancestral, a lot of family stuff's happening, but huge trauma stuff coming up for people. We have to release and clear it.
It makes me think how strong we all are because, in a way, you can sense the evolution of the soul because to stand in your light while all that's going on is very reinforcing and strengthening, and it's kind of a power within the individual to do that, and it's challenging, but I like to call it a healthy challenge.
It really is challenging, but what I've noticed lately is like you just need that light of awareness to shine on something. So say, for example, you realize, look, I've got this real self-sabotaging. Like it's just the light has to come in to sort of clear it. So we're sort of moving through. There's a lot to shift in the shift, but we can move through it much faster now. And the Akashic Records are really one of those tools that are helpful.
Do sometimes people, when they see something, oh, I'm doing that to myself, do they feel bad as a response to themselves? Or do you see a whole lot of different responses from people when they realize?
Well, I don't know. I find when I work with people, it's always like a negative. It's like a positive energy.
Yeah.
So even if you're sort of seeing some horrendous life, where they've been sort of burnt at the stake or really suffer, or even occasionally like a lifetime might come up where they ended it, and there's still the energy of that's sort of still sitting there. I don't know. It's almost like because you're in that higher vibration, how you sort of, it comes through in a sort of way that's not sort of making them wrong or making them bad or, and it's easy for people. Like when I do healing with people, I always just make sure that they're okay at the end.
Yeah.
I don't say, okay, time's up, bye. You sort of have to make sure they're okay. And most people say, God, I just feel so much lighter,
Yeah.
And I've written a couple of books, and in both of the books, there's one called The Magic of the Akashic Records. That's the first part of it, and that's sort of how I got into that's sort of my story in a way. But it's also got a lot of stories of clients, given with their permission about, how the Akashic Records helped them, different sessions, and the same as, for the second book, which came out in late 2021. Tragic to Magic, Beyond Suffering with the Akashic Records. There's a lot of stories in that as well. And the second
sorry.
sorry.
I'm going to, it's okay. I'm going to include some links under the video here for people to take a look at those. And I know we have talked about those as well. I'm curious to know how you perceive it with people. You know, you've been in a healing modality, and this has been the need in the world, and people have been fine tuning and clarifying and tidying up themselves for some time. But do you also feel people are going to the Akashic Records and noticing a quality that they have, or something they've mastered, and bringing those energies
Oh,
through?
oh, no, definitely. So it's not all about just clearing and releasing. And
Yeah.
when people have a reading, often they get confirmation.
Oh.
Because what I really like to look at is people's soul purpose. So why they're here, what their mission is. Um, but everything I say, they have to take with a grain of salt, because it's not. Oh yeah, I've got Chris said this, so I've got to do this now. But what I just do as soon as I open someone's Akashic record is ask what's it important for them to know, and often it's about why they're here on a soul level. So it's a wee bit like, you get up close and personal with your soul. So it's like you're sort of talking to your soul. So there's a lot of soul information.
Mm.
And it's very easy also to link people in, with positive attributes from other lifetimes. Like it hasn't all been terrible, terrible. Even in the third dimension, there were lifetimes, where we've done incredible things. We've had leadership abilities where we have been teachers, we have been healers, we have been creator, whatever. So you can actually go into the Akashic records, and it's actually called something called mining the Akash, but that's not my phrase. It's actually a cryon phrase,
Oh,
and
okay.
it's about like gathering up all the gold in your soul timeline, and connecting in with, say, for example, you might have a pattern of self-sabotage now. You can go into the Akashic records and just ask to be connected with the energy of those lifetimes, where that wasn't an issue, where you believed in yourself, where you fulfilled your soul mission, where so you can bring all that in. You can also go into the future, the so-called future.
Mm-hmm.
But the Akashic Records space, that 5D space, is non-linear. And you can actually, like I've been in there and I've talked to future lives, myself and, about 150 years, another life. And I was so excited actually when I spoke to this person. Like he seemed quite, I didn't know if he was a he or a she, seemed quite androgynous.
Yeah.
But he was a history teacher, which made me laugh because in this lifetime I've been a history teacher. And he sort of basically said, I'm teaching all about the earth, in those barbaric times before there's the shift. And that was
Oh,
what his job was. And he was very wise because he's ascended, and he gave me a lot of, I actually asked him for guidance and he gave me guidance. So you can do that,
yeah.
which is fun.
That's a very conscious experience, isn't it? Isn't it, Chris?
Yeah.
And we get, I think the thought comes to mind that through this art, through this dedicated, service and expression and study, it's. Would you say it's given you more conscious awareness of your own personal evolution?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. And just what I'm really into now is the evolution of humanity, actually.
Mm.
And what I realized is, like, I've lived through a lot of it, and some of it hasn't been pretty. And I think that's why I'm here now. And I feel compelled to do what I'm doing. And it's just such an important time. I know that you as well, like all of us, have been waiting a very long time for this. I know that there are many souls wanting to be on earth for this time. Um, Sometimes as an old soul, where you're carrying, quite a lot of baggage from past lives, it is quite a slog, to overcome those sort of obstacles that you put in your way of, self-doubt, self-belief, fear of this, fear of that. But for me, like I I do feel driven, and it's not so much a personal thing. It's just almost something that I feel I need to do for humanity, to be of service. And I think I'm hoping anyone that watches this, and hopefully you will relate to it, because we all actually do have a job to do. Deep down, we know what it is, and if we don't do it, it's not the end of the world. But to me, it just feels so important, and I feel so privileged to actually be here and to be able to do what I do and to be able to share what I've got to say in interviews like this one.
Yeah. Well, I know that that's going to be greatly appreciated. And I think people, you can know that, people could say we're all one, or we have this soul group, we have the conscious group, the soul family, and so on. But because we're living the world, sometimes people do need to hear it, even if they're in a high level of, when you look back at some of the masters that walked the planet in isolation, I mean, quite legendary, really, wasn't it? I mean, they didn't have YouTube to put on a bit of inspiration with. They really had to go within, and the level was very high. And I think that master teachers echo what you were saying before about respecting that individual soul, and make, like in my words, that the soul takes what you're sharing, your skills and insights and wisdoms and guidance, and they make it their own. And because I really believe it's about empowerment, and you can feel that coming through your work. Do you think of the word empowerment much?
Sorry, I don't know. I think empowerment's really important. I think it's vitally important for all of us at the moment. Oh no, at this time, because it's not like we're waiting for ascension to happen. It is happening right now, and it is challenging. Like, our bodies are changing composition. We're changing from carbon-based to crystalline. There's so much energy swirling around and stuff coming up to be released, and there's a bit of a battle between sort of dark and light at the moment. The light is going to win, but the sort of dark, there's that sort of aspect of humanity, because we're, since the fall, it was all about duality. We fell into sort of duality and separation. That aspect of humanity is sort of fighting back. But I think, it's really important to think, well, what I've got to say doesn't matter. I mean, it's important not to think, what I have to say doesn't matter. We really need to speak and express and honor our truth, and have the courage to just put it out there, and try to I don't know, anchor as much light as possible, try and send as much love out as possible. Like, it's a challenge, like, it's not always, but just understand that everything you do, in the sort of direction of the light is helping. Like, every little bit, even if you don't think it's much, like, it all adds up. And we can't all have sort of 500,000 YouTube followers or whatever, but what I sort of find is, if we do put ourselves out there, like, it'll reach the people that it's supposed to.
Yeah.
And what I'm sort of feeling people are going through at the moment, it's almost like their soul is sort of pushing them to sort of take, light workers, take their work up another level. But, the old human parts of us are, they resist, obviously, because it's scary. If you've had many lifetimes on Earth and, had difficult experiences, the fear, there's sort of almost like a wall of fear that can come up. But what I do know at the moment is there's so many beings of light. They can connect to us now. Sometimes they have to stand back and wait for us to take the first step, but they are there. And when we take that step, they are there sort of with bells on, supporting us, and yeah. So keep whoever is listening to this, keep going. Your work is important. Your life is important. your light is important. And just thank you to you, Paul, and to anyone else that's listening to this for what you're doing, because it's making a difference.
Well, it's just wonderful. Thank you, Chris. It's just wonderful to be in the energy because everything makes sense. And I just think, while you were talking, I was thinking, the bigger the light of the soul, the chances are the more you've been shafted on the earth. You know what I mean? Because it's been, almost laughable, the level of density that we've all been through. But I suppose we've all been everything. So
I know. Well, I was just thinking. I know I've done the shafting.
That's right.
I mean,
Well,
I don't know if it's quite the right word, but you know what I mean. Like we've been on both sides of the coin, and we're not necessarily. I think there are some souls that have taken more of those dark roles on, but I think there's a lot of us that have been in that sort of in between grey area. And I know I've had a lot of lifetimes where I've had a choice to do the right thing, and sometimes I haven't.
Yep.
And so I think, particularly the last life I'm really conscious of, that was in World War II, set me up for this one, because I really didn't, it wasn't one I'm particularly proud of, you see. But now, when I but it's given me a stronger drive to make the most of this one, you see.
And it was a different time, wasn't it? I mean, now is the time where I feel it's the time where the finger pointing doesn't really work.
The thing is, if you finger point, it comes right back on you.
Yeah.
And if you actually criticize or rubbish or mock or put anyone down, you're actually doing it to yourself, because that's how the energy works in the fifth dimension.
Oh, well, I know I've had my moments even in this life, not plenty of them, where you act out of alignment or you act in reaction or something, and you get a quick reminder even from your own feeling, well, that's not really. And so I think in a way, like even time in your session, for example, it's a form of training and practice, isn't it, to be directing yourself into something constructive within yourself.
But it's not like there are a lot of initiations when you take this path, and tests of mastery.
Had a few, have you?
So the thing is, you just have to keep going, and honestly, it is worth it. Like when you're sitting in this energy and you're talking, like we're having a conversation, or when I'm teaching my classes, it's just a happy place.
Yes.
And you really understand why you're doing it, and just feel immense gratitude for having the opportunity. It's such a precious gift to be on Earth right now.
Yeah. Well, Chris, with that in mind, when you're in the work, I know what it's like. You're plugged in, you feel like you're just being yourself, and then you see this ripple effect. You see how it's helping, and you see this contagious life. And then when you step away, how have you felt in your life in recent times since you've been doing this work? How have you seen that ripple out into your day-to-day structure, and how has it affected your family and how you live and so on?
Oh, well, this my second book, Tragic to Magic.
Yes.
Basically, that's what I feel the Akashic Records have done for me. So it was just taking things, because the situation with our family, which was tragic, basically. And I think they can help. You go from these dire sort of situations on a human level, like the soul sees them completely differently. From a soul perspective, they're like, the soul's going, yay, bring it on, and I just think, just the first thing that helped me was just raising my vibration. And the next thing that's helped me is just being in the Akashic Records so much when I give sessions or when I'm teaching, or because it's just helped, it's helped me. I'm not always my best self, but it's helped me sort of keep in line and to be my best self. And if you're not, as you say, like, it bounces back immediately, and you think, oh yeah, this is something I have to work with. And the thing is that the Akashic Records, within that, you have those tools to be able to work with something and clear it and understand, like, the deeper meaning of what's happened. And so
well, I like what you said about working with it, because that's something that's come to me in recent times, and that I've been guided with, was the need to work with yourself, not on yourself. So working, and you mentioned it there, and it's more like a form of, I think it's kind of a high level of personal organization, but it's also very functional and working with these aspects of yourself. And it's I suppose you'd say it's free of conflict, wouldn't you?
Yeah. It's what I have found with the Akashic Records is just they've given me peace, and all I ever wanted. I remember I first went to my first spiritual workshop in the 1990s, and we got asked, what do we really want? And everyone went, inner peace, and I went, inner peace. And, I went through this difficult time where it was far from peaceful, and it was really chaotic, and it was like a family roller coaster.
Yeah.
But now, like, I can look at my family, we're in a really good place, and I think I'd sort of say to any parent who is worrying about a child, it's not really necessarily about sort of trying to fix them. You have to sort of understand that they are a soul. They have got a different journey. It's not, but if you do the work on yourself and focus on you, and I did teach parenting for many years, like I had conscious parenting course that I used to teach in the 90s, and then everything around you sort of magically transforms. And that's another thing I've found, with the Akashic Records. I get a lot of people who come to me and they're sort of here to help their families. But if you do the work on yourself, it does, talking of what you said before about rippling out.
Yeah.
Ripples out to everyone around you, to the planet, into the collective consciousness, into the field, and particularly those close to you. And so, so
You've been able to, through a very challenging time, it seems you've been able to keep your family together in a sense that you're able to be there for each other. Would you agree?
Oh no, we're very close. Oh yeah, it's lovely. Like I think my main thing I'm proud of in this lifetime is definitely who I've been as a parent.
Yeah.
And the most important thing to me, like the work's important, but family is extremely important. I've got a granddaughter now.
Oh yeah, grandma.
She's two, and her name. Her first name is Lucia, which means light. And she is just the most incredible little soul and brings so much joy to everybody. And get me on the subject of the little children that haven't been here before.
Oh.
She's she is. So she's amazing. So so the whole family thing, it definitely and I'm really grateful to my daughter because it was basic. I've written about this in my book, and she doesn't mind me talking about it. But my oldest daughter had many, 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 many suicide attempts, but is luckily still with us, and she's really growing and evolving. And she got married a couple of years ago. And
Yes.
I take my hat off to anyone who chooses, to experience mental illness, as a soul choice, and in this lifetime. And a lot of people, who are afflicted, sort of by that. I think it's not an easy path, but already, like, she is helping a lot of people as well, and I can just see,
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that. So go on.
No, the thing with the Akashic Records, you can sort of see where this one little life fits into the bigger picture, so it's helpful.
Yes. Well, I was glad you mentioned about the mental health, because there's been a lot of emphasis on it. But to me, what you're describing there, you get the feeling of it's more like the breaking down of what doesn't work, be it your own thoughts or overemphasizing the mind and so on. And then something else, there's always more life, isn't there? Something else opens when you make these changes or let it go, or you get to that extreme level, and then you can't really go any further in that direction. And then it just, okay, well, I've tried that strategy and that didn't work. And what else is there in that? In a way, it's some kind of opening, isn't it?
Well, it sort of is, and that's what's happening on the planet in a way. But we're basically ending this. There's so much darkness on this planet, and we're basically moving into a new cycle of life where, leaving all that behind. So it's manifesting in various ways, and often we need a crisis to change. And it is upsetting that there's so many young people with sort of anxiety, depression. This could be a whole conversation on itself.
Yeah,
And
well,
it's
yeah.
but yeah, I think they have
They're
been.
getting the standard information about it and the old information about it. So it kills all the openings, in the way it's like it's being labeled as a disease and things like that. I think a lot of time it's a misdiagnosis.
Well, I think we all have times that we don't feel, fantastic. So it's sort of part of being human, I think. But I think we're sort of moving out of that now, and just, there's incredible souls that have come in since after 1987. So they basically, after the harmonic convergence, and it sort of looked like, we were going to ascend, and a lot of these souls have come in from star systems. They've got answers, these young people, to all the problems and solutions. That's what they're here to do, is basically find the solutions to our problems. And sometimes they have to go through a bit of a dark night of the soul to get there. But I think the tide is definitely turning, and there's so many more ways to help, people, emotionally, and distressed people on this planet now. And so, that's what's really exciting, and people are getting more open. So
Yeah. Well, the tools are so readily available. I mean, look, we might reach the 500,000 viewers you mentioned from this video, like by tomorrow. But why not? And
I hope they do, for your sake.
but I don't know what difference it would make, to be honest, to me. But hey, if people benefit, if there's 500,000 people that want to watch it and benefit, I'd be stoked. But it's just so available, and people are going to resonate. People could listen to this and hear one sentence that just switches something on for them or activates something, couldn't they?
Well, I hope so. I mean, I don't say no to any invitation to talk about, all this stuff, because it just really interests me. And I think, it's part of what I sort of signed up for.
Yeah, I suppose it's kind of who you are these days.
So I really appreciate the opportunity. And, we had a chat, I think, a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Which I really enjoyed. And it's always nice talking to you, Paul, and anyone that's got this far listening. Thank you.
Well, thanks.
We're grateful.
We're gonna put it out there, and we're gonna share it. And I'm going to put your website for viewers. Obviously, people might want to look a bit closer, and people are very welcome to look at your courses, and or even do the one-on-one session. And I know that you can do that remotely, no problem at all. Is that correct?
Oh yeah, no, I don't really let anyone come and visit me now. I've got
What's that?
COVID. No, it's all on Zoom.
Okay. Yep. And I invite people to take a look and for themselves in their own way, like Chris was saying. And like I said, the links will be below for people. And I welcome people to subscribe. And I'm going to be doing more. I've been a bit quiet recently, and I put a bit of a burst during COVID, but I love the concept of facilitating empowerment. I love to live that way, and I love to share these wisdoms that people like Chris Wilson today have cultivated through lived experience, through respectful treatment of others, through holding people as equals, and through this great work we're all doing, where we decided that we want a different planet, in the sense of let's have a planet that works, cooperates, I mean, it's already amazing. I mean, I've been around it quite a few times, and there's so much beauty on this planet, and a lot of the things that are going on, they're so easy to shift and change and tweak, and we just need the sincerity of the soul. And I believe, Chris, that's what you're doing. You're helping people with their soul clarity and they bring their soul onto the earth. And what a gift that is. What a gift that you're giving, and what a gift that soul is, each of us, to be ourselves on the planet. But that was me talking. But Chris, do you want to say anything else before we head off and give thanks to our viewers here?
All I just want to say is just value yourselves, love yourselves, know that the world needs you. And if you're hesitating about doing something at the moment that seems very scary, do it.
Nice. And with that, I don't think we need to say more than that, Chris. And thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of the day. And thank you, viewers. Best wishes to you all.
Thank you. Thanks, Paul. Thanks for this time. Thank you.
All right.